Hey guys, it's Christian, your Vancouver Realtor, and the topic for today's video is condo lifestyles and living in a stratified property. Does it match your lifestyle? I want to share with you in this video blog some examples, short stories from clients, from myself, and others that I've encountered, and then you can kind of use that to make a decision whether or not maybe downsizing from your house to a condo is right for you. Or if you're living in an apartment building and thinking about buying your first place, these are the kinds of things you would want to be aware of. Now, first thing to know is condos, strata living is really communal living. You may be in a tower with 300 other people. You have neighbors to the right, left, up, and below you. And there's things that you can do to get on each other's nerves. The number one thing is noise. I had a client, I helped him sell his East Vancouver house. He moved, and we found him a place in Brentwood, Burnaby, a condo. And the first thing, for the first 18 months, it was fine. And then he had a neighbor move in above him. I guess they may have changed the floors, and she walks in her high heels. They've got a kid. So now he gets all this noise from upstairs, and he hates it. And that's the kind of thing that sometimes happens. The best way to resolve that kind of thing would be to approach the neighbors diplomatically, or the second thing, and ask them to stop. Or the second thing you could do, which is the most common, is you write a letter to the strata and let them know there's a noise issue. And that's what most people will do. I've had more luck with the first one, actually. I just go and talk to the neighbors face to face, and you just put on your kind of, your Dale Carnegie win friends and influence people skills, and you can diplomatically persuade them, hopefully, to stop. The second thing I hear a lot about is smoking. Most stratas have bylaws that restrict this, but occasionally you get someone who walks out onto their patio or balcony and he just smokes, and then the smoke wafts up to 2 or 3 stories above, and it can come inside your suite. Best thing again there, you'd be writing letters. Most stratas don't allow it, but occasionally some do, and not much you can do about it except read the bylaws ahead of time so that we know that could be an issue. Things like that too will show up in the strata meeting minutes. When we're combing through the minutes prior to making an offer, I'll generally let my clients know, hey, these guys, there's some smoking issues in this building. And especially if I know my clients have told me I can't stand it, I hate it, they need to know. Now, something else, especially for downsizers, you're coming from a house, you're moving to a condo, you've got a lot of stuff. Furniture, especially house size. You've got the big L-shaped sofa. Hard to fit that into a 900 square foot modern day 2-bedroom. There's just not enough space for it most of the time. And that is something I find that some clients have trouble with, is they may need sort of 3-6 months kind of shedding, getting rid of all their things. Some easy things you can do there is you just sell a lot of your stuff on Craigslist. If it's not of sentimental value, maybe give away some to family and friends, or put whatever you need in boxes and put it in storage. There's a lot of storage facilities in the Vancouver area, and they're not that expensive. So something else we see is pets. Most buildings allow 1 or 2 pets, cats and dogs. More than that, and it's just not going to work for you. And if you did have a pet and the strata passed a bylaw saying no more dogs allowed, that would be grandfathered, meaning you as the owner, you'd obviously still get to keep your pet for the rest of their lives, another 10-15 years, but would not be able to get a pet after that. Another one is sort of specific requirements around recreational use. I've had clients, for example, who had 4 really expensive bicycles, a couple of mountain bikes, a couple of speed bikes, the $20,000 kind you can lift up with your pinky they use in the Tour de France. it was really challenging finding them a place because it's hard to find condos where you can get 4 bicycle spots that are secure for expensive bikes like that. And you cannot take your bike up through the elevator. Most places don't allow that. So you're kind of, the amount of selection out there will be very minimal for someone who has, let's say 4 or 5 really expensive bikes. So something to keep in mind, you may only be able to keep 1 or 2 if you're making a move to a strata condo. Now, moving along, renovations. A lot of, you bought, let's say there's a lot of condos on the market that, they're 20, 30 years old. They've got a good amount of space. The benefit would be you buy them a lot cheaper and you go in and you redesign and renovate them. Trouble with this, or let's just say the challenge with this, is you got to get approvals, permits. If you're a free spirit, you've got an individual streak, you just want to get started on the work. Doesn't work that way in condos, unfortunately, because you got to get approvals for new floors, and it gets more complicated. If you're ever taking down walls, you've got to go to the city to get approvals, especially in Vancouver. The Strata will make you do it. We had one client who, it took them about 9 months. They bought a place and they wanted to do a full renovation on it, and they've done that now. But my client here, he had a lot of persistence and a lot of patience. He went through 9 months of jumping hurdles to get this approved. But basically, they wanted to open up walls and incorporate this big solarium into the kitchen. It's not easy to do, it takes time, but just getting the approvals, there was so much red tape through Strata, the city sent them back to the Strata. There were some people on the council that didn't want to approve this. Eventually, they got it through, and they have a just gorgeous renovation. I mean, in fact, I was there last night. We were enjoying a little bit of wine and barbecue. But anyway, it takes time, and if you're someone who likes to just get start on your reno, it's really, you got to keep in mind what the Strata will let you do and not. And a lot of that comes through in the bylaws, but not all of it is answered in the bylaws. A lot of that is sort of dealing with the Strata once you've already closed on the property and you are listed as the owner, and you don't know exactly whether or not you can open up all the walls, because we don't know if there's plumbing or electrical behind there. Yeah, you sometimes only find out after the fact. Moving along, big one for downsizers, space. You've lived 40 years in a house, you're 2,500 square feet, which by no means is a big house. Now you make the move into a condo that's 800-900 square feet, and I've seen a lot of downsizers. They've decided, you know what, I'm going to move back. I'm going to go back to a house. So it's just the actual space. When you're living in a house, I mean, I grew up in the Toronto area, and we had a 1/4 acre, and so it was a smaller house, but you'd step outside, and we had this massive backyard, right? You play with your friends, throw frisbee with the dog. You don't get that in a condo. You just have a balcony, perhaps. And so just that feeling of having more space, I think, where over time, people start to feel a bit different. I always suggest to my client, let's go out and let's look and do a field trip, a scouting mission, so to speak. Let's go and look at 3, 4, 5, 6 homes, just so you can get a feel of what these condos are like, what the layout is like, and whether you're gonna feel comfortable. You're gonna like that. You might not. So I think that's the first step to take if you're thinking of downsizing. Privacy. So you're going to get a lot more privacy in a house than you will in a condo, obviously. You're sharing common hallways, elevators. I had a client, she doesn't like 24-hour concierge. She likes to come and go from the building, and she doesn't like to be watched. That's her thing. And so that's something to keep in mind. If you like extra privacy, a condo may not be for you. Strata councils are a very interesting situation. My experience is most councils are pretty good. Sometimes you get people on councils that have, they're there on a bit of an ego trip. It gives them a bit of a feeling of power being on the council. You'll see sometimes, the same 6 people are on the council for 5, 6, 7 years. And it's good to have some turnover. And occasionally they like to kind of, run the show, so to speak, and create, just pass bylaws or that are to their benefit. They may want to restrict rentals, for example. I've seen that in a couple of situations. So you have to be, as an owner, you have to be on top of what kind of bylaw changes may be coming at the annual general meeting meetings, and just be aware of what's going on with your strata. It's a little unfortunate when you have, that type of situation. Maintenance fees, very common to stratas. Of course they are, and so they will only go in one direction, and that is up. And so I've had clients who sold their place, they live in a condo, they don't like the fact maintenance fees are going up. The insurance rates have gone up across North America, and those get passed on and down through and paid in your maintenance fees. And so that is something that a lot of people don't like if they're buying their first place. Okay, and finally, special levies. Special levies are part and parcel of strata living. We had a situation like this where in our building, it was 35 years old. This is one property I own, and it was time to replace the windows, the sliding doors. It was all original. A lot of heat was escaping, and the heating bills were more expensive. Also, the windows were thin, so a lot more noise coming in from outside. And by replacing the windows, it's nice, it's new, all those things. You keep heat inside, noise out. And it took a long time. It took probably 5 to 6 years to get this approved. And originally there were just a lot of owners who kept voting down these types of improvements. And eventually the strata had to take it to court, where at court they got it approved. Now that's sort of a rare bird, but it does happen. And that can happen. Preferably you have you own in a unit where once, it's obvious that the roof has to be replaced, that the strata will vote, majority, 75% or more, will vote in favor of having the roof changed fairly quickly. So those are just some things I wanted to raise with you if you are living in or thinking about moving to a strata, moving to a condo. So if you found this message of value, go ahead and give us a thumbs up or subscribe. We love having you.